and juice the oranges.
Lumos.
And just kind of go...
You said oranges.
I said oranges?
Yeah. Let's try it again. Let's try Knox.
It won't rain.
If it rains, I'll be going on my own. Oh dear, oh dear.
Look, I'll wand you.
Yes, I'll wand you. Now get off my wand. Now, oh no. There's my knitting over there. I know. Accio. Get the jumper finished, mate, because I want to wear it.
Yours too.
I'm still not completely happy with my shorts pants.
No.
One of them is not going to get knit on, and that's
yeah.
a huge pigeon.
Yeah.
There's a huge pigeon. Just like well, I probably have, but now you've asked. Hello. Yes, you caught us in a clinch. And a little bird has come to say hello.
It's a darling.
Feels like Mary Poppins. I saw the
baby bird.
Saw the trailer for Mary Poppins, and I'm worried.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah, you see, there's certain things you can't mess with, and Julie
know.
Andrews is one of them.
I mean, you couldn't remake The Sound of Music, could you? You just can't do it, and it's a similar thing,
don't say
really,
that.
isn't
They
it?
will, won't they? Eventually.
Well, I wouldn't watch it.
No, they probably wouldn't actually. They probably wouldn't because of the subject matter.
Yeah,
it's probably the type
it's
of
too
thing.
political, isn't
Probably.
it, these days?
Well, who knows? But I mean, Emily Blunt's a perfectly lovely actress. I've got nothing against her at all.
She's not
but-
Mary Poppins.
No, but you know what was worse? I think was the fool who was trying to be Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, that actually, he's probably the one. I know his accent's crazy, but
Terrible Dick Van Dyke accent, isn't it?
But the thing is, it doesn't matter because
No, it doesn't matter.
It's
Part of the charm.
It's part of the charm, but he is a very he's an actor of his day, a lot like Bruce Forsyth,
Yeah.
and so many of these other guys who had learnt their craft on the stage, sort of music hall type thing. And this guy clearly is all eyes and teeth and not quite so.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe it'll be wonderful.
Bit dubious about that.
Now, it's episode 97.
97.
And there's been much drama and excitement here over the last 2 weeks.
Has there?
Yes.
Right.
Now, the drama was very drama-filled, and it was all centred around colourwork.
Right.
What am I going to knit?
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yes.
And after much sort of wailing and gnashing of teeth, spoke a little bit about it, didn't we, last episode?
Yeah.
Was talking about how I'd sort of focused in on one particular pattern, but then I'd seen so many of them. We spoke a little bit about
There's
social
a lot
media
of them,
last
isn't
time.
there? There's a lot of colourwork yoked sweaters around.
Yeah. But that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm not criticising that.
No,
but it makes the decision difficult, is what I mean.
Well, it does when the one that you've got any chance of knitting, everyone else seems to have knit too. And, I fancied knitting something different. But also, it was more the fact of Kay quite rightly saying, you're going to get bored because of all the plain knitting down the body. So, when I say we, I mean the royal we, set out looking
Me.
for another pattern. And finally, we found one.
We found one.
And it's great. And I shall be casting it on. Not yet. Because there needs to be a plan put in place. And we'll talk a little bit about it actually in What's Off Your Needles.
I didn't know there was a plan.
Well, there needs to be a plan because I think it's like anything. Colourwork is something which clearly takes practice and is unlike, I think, of all the things that I've knit, it's unlike anything else I've knit. Yes,
Yeah.
there's links to double knitting,
Yeah.
but it is unlike. You have to adjust.
You do. It takes a lot of practice, I
Yeah.
think, to get colourwork looking lovely.
I'm sure there's some people, well, maybe there isn't, but maybe there is some people who it just
Comes naturally to. I expect that there is. And maybe it's the people that more have grown up with it. That have come
If it's all you'd
from
ever done.
a country maybe where
Yeah.
it's more of the norm.
If it's all you'd ever done, if that's what you'd learnt doing, then I'm sure it would absolutely come naturally to you. I tell you, the similarity I feel with it is between the first time I knit a sock heel flap,
Yeah.
and you were like, Oh, no.
Oh, it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
You were like, where's your stitches to pick up? They'd all curled in.
Oh, they had, because it was so tight.
You're like trying to pull it out.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I'm finding it's like that. You have to really adjust your whole sort of approach, but that's cool. And you know, it's a challenge, and challenges are good. So we found the perfect pattern. The perfect pattern will be going on the needles, and the perfect pattern contains lace in the body.
Yes.
Ooh.
So it's got, we'll tell you about it next time, but it's got a colourwork yoke.
Yes.
And then I think there might have been a bit of colourwork
Around
in
the bottom.
ribbing as
Yes,
well. I
yes.
think it might just be like a 2-colour rib or something.
The drama was high because I just had no idea what I was going to knit, and I know that I want to get going on it. So, you know, with Kay's help, we found the perfect pattern, we've got the yarn, and now all I need to do is just make some adjustments to my technique.
Yeah.
And just get a little bit better. And that's going to actually fit with a project that I cast on.
Oh, you've cast it on?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yes, so
cool.
I'll be showing you my... Stage 1 was the split back Snowflake hat, which is now off the needles, and I'll show it to you later. Stage 2 is the hat I've now cast on.
Yeah.
And stage 3 is get the jumper finish, mate, because I want to wear it. Yeah. The excitement,
yes.
And isn't it appropriate that you've got those and laid those out?
Oh, right.
The excitement was, how many years ago? Was it about 2 years ago, maybe?
Getting on for 2 years ago that
you
designed and knit.
You absolutely did. And, you know, 2 years later, you finally put the pattern out.
Finally put the pattern out, and I'm talking about my stitching time blanket.
Now I think we need to just say that it doesn't take you 2 years to get a pattern out.
No, there was reasons at the time that I didn't feel right putting it out, but you know, I just decided to do it because I've just had so many messages over those sort of many months from lovely people wanting the pattern. So I just decided, yes, do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And so the pattern's out. This is the original blanket. And I showed last time the Disney movie blanket that I'm knitting, and that's exactly the same pattern. But this is the original Stitching Time blanket, which is based on the 12 months of the year. And it's colour coded, if you like, to reflect the 12 months of the year. So this pattern is out now. I've been asked by a couple of people if I'd open a thread on the Ravelry group just for people to share their progress and just chat about it generally. So I have done that.
Lovely.
So if you want to go over to the Ravelry group and have a little chat about what your plans are, what themes maybe you're going to do. Are you going to stick with the 9 mitered squares? Are you going to do it bigger? Are you going to do them smaller? Are you going to do more blocks? What's your border colour going to be? You know, all these kinds of lovely things that it's just nice to chat with other people about.
Look,
well,
this is a 4-block.
This is an accidental blanket. Because when I was writing up the pattern, I did a tutorial. There's lots of tutorials, video tutorials in the pattern. I forget how many, I think there's 6 maybe, video tutorials, just taking you through all the stages. And I wanted to do a tutorial for the borders. So I thought, well, I'll just quickly whip up a 4 square block just so that I can show you the technique for picking up the borders. So I did this one, which was just a little, you know, it's exactly the same, but I just did 4 blocks, and I used 2.75 millimeters for this, just because I thought it would be a little bit easier to see on the video tutorial rather than the 2.5, which is what I used for the other one. And I kind of, again, accidentally sort of colour themed it with sort of a pinkish kind of theme. Put some borders on it, did the tutorial, and I just thought it looked lovely. I left it a few days and I thought, no, I can't possibly do another blanket. That's just insane. But then I just kept thinking about it, and I liked the idea of kind of grouping colours like this. And it's easy to find sort of 4 colours in your scraps that kind of go together. So I did another one because that's what you do. So this one I did a thinner border because there's only 4 blocks as opposed to 9. So I followed that through and did another block, and this one will go kind of on the edge. So you can see there's a thicker border here and then these two will join. So this one, I wanted to do one that was all sort of neutrals. Oh, and I love this. This one is the Dumbledore colourway that I did for the patrons. I haven't actually ever dyed this up for the shop.
This isn't a What's on Your Needles, is it? This isn't one of your projects that you're showing for What's on Your Needles, is it?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Right, okay, shall we just hold on then? And wait till we get into What's on Your Needles?
I got carried away, didn't I? I'm going to shush.
Now, you know what's coming now. That was the perfect trailer for the rest of the show. But I just thought...
This is what happens when I start talking about something that I really love. I shall carry on talking about that in a little bit.
Yes, just hold that thought.
Yes.
So, much drama with the Colourwork, much excitement with the launch of the Stitch in Time blanket. How exciting. And also, frustration. Oh, now, actually, before I talk about that, thank you all so much for all your messages last episode. Yes, it's just lovely. Do you know what? It feels like all the cylinders... Well, you'll find out, won't you, in a second. It feels like all the cylinders are now running on the Bakery Bears engine because the Pudding Club has launched and the New Adventures of the Bakery Bears is back.
Yes.
And it's as if the weather, because it knew I was talking about the New Adventures... It's like the weather that I had in York is here today with us now.
It's awful.
It's dreadful. It's just raining.
The weather over Easter has been dreadful.
It's changed. The weather in this country's changed.
Dreadful.
Easter used to be that was spring, but it's not anymore. It seems to come a little bit later.
It's been rain and sleet and cold and wind.
We don't mind.
Just horrible.
We don't mind.
Hey-ho.
Thank you all so much for your messages. And yes, New Adventures is back, and it was wonderful to be back out. And New Adventures will be back next episode when we will be discovering...
Oh, it's a lovely one.
It really is.
I was looking it up.
Were you?
Yeah,
you're excited now? You're excited now.
I was looking it up yesterday because I didn't have a clue what it was like, and I was telling Bryony about it. She's very excited.
I will have my crew with me.
Yes.
Yes. You know, sometimes when you've got a cold and you wake up in the night and you're like wide awake and you can't get to sleep, your brain starts to work, doesn't it? And you can't get back off sleep again. You know this.
I've never experienced that personally.
You know this better than anybody. Now, there's many ways, supposedly, that work to get you back off to sleep.
Right.
The most famous, of course, being counting sheep.
Oh, get on.
I know.
That doesn't work.
Well, it doesn't work. I've tried it before. It really doesn't work. I mean,
it doesn't work.
Well, I don't understand quite how, I think
it's meant to be that it focuses your mind on just that one thing. It's like when you're meditating, isn't it?
Yeah, but the problem is...
to maybe look at a flickering candle and just think about that.
But a flickering candle is a damn sight more interesting than trying to imagine sheep in a field jumping over a fence. Because your brain will naturally start to wander back to what it was thinking about in the first place. Yeah. You'll become bored with the task.
Yeah, my brain wanders terribly.
I have the solution.
What is it?
And let me tell you, folks, this solution works because I used it last night.
Did you?
And I was off, back to sleep within a moment.
Everybody's like now on tenterhooks.
Not one word of this is a joke. This worked perfectly. The problem is going to arise when I tell you what I did.
Oh, gosh. I'm glad I was asleep by the sounds of it.
I thought, I know what I'll do. I won't count sheep. I will try and think of all the quarterbacks from each American football team. And I thought
I'm not surprised you were asleep.
I thought I'll start in the AFC North and I'll work through each division and each conference. And I was asleep before I got to the end of the AFC North. I went Cleveland.
I couldn't even name name one, so that'd be no good for me.
I went Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and then I got stuck. Cincinnati Bengals, and then I got stuck. I couldn't remember the Baltimore Ravens, and then eventually I got to the Baltimore Ravens, and I remember saying to myself, Joe Flacco, Ryan Mallett, and then I was asleep. So it works.
Well, I shall do that next time.
If you pick a mundane task like that of a subject which you know something about.
What could I do then?
Something to do with knitting. How many Opal colourways could you name?
Gosh, yeah, that would be a good one.
Because there's a lot, aren't there?
Yes. Do you know, I was just talking about this the other day and I was saying, why don't Opal redo colourways that have been really popular? Why don't they do that? Why don't they redo the Van Gogh and the Harry Potter colourways and all the other ones?
Yeah, there might be a licensing issue with it.
But they've done it once, so why?
Yeah, well,
Maybe they were only allowed to do it once, you mean? One.
The size of company that they are, they will have had to have paid some money.
Oh, yeah.
So perhaps...
Right, so maybe it is something to do with that.
Well, I think...
But I think they would sell enough to justify it, though, because...
It depends if they got their margins right first time round.
Yeah, maybe.
If their margins were wrong and they didn't make any money on it.
You're all talking money and that's boring. I just want,
Well, it is, but
I just want to be able to buy all the Harry Potter Opal colourways, and I really want the looping one, but you just cannot get it.
Everything in life needs balance, doesn't it? And Opal colourways would be more balanced if the Harry Potter range was available.
Absolutely.
And so is Fingerless. Now, balance is a thing I've been thinking a lot about in the last couple of weeks. And actually, you know, it's something that we all should be thinking about all the time, because balance in life is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. I think certainly when it comes to knitting, that it is perfect. For me, I like my knitting when it is perfectly balanced. And there was a time about 2.5 weeks ago when...
You had too much on the go.
No, I did not. My knitting was perfectly balanced. And I even said to you, I'm really happy with all the projects I've got on the go at the moment. Do
you mean the number? Do you mean the type? Do you mean all of that?
For me, it doesn't come down to the number. Yes, there is a key number where if you have over that number, one of them is not going to get knit on. And that's a huge pigeon.
Yeah.
There's a huge pigeon just landed in the garden.
It's massive. It's a wood pigeon. Wood pigeons are so beautiful, aren't they?
They are.
Look at him. Oh, he's looking for worms because it's so wet out there. All the worms come to the surface, don't they? Because they hear the rain.
We should save this for our bird watching podcast.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we should.
Now, getting the perfect balance, I think, is so tricky, and I think you would agree, because it's quite often more often than not, you're unhappy with the balance.
Yeah, more often than not, I have way too many things on the needles, and actually, the past couple of weeks, I haven't, and I've finished a ton. Do you remember when I finished all those projects a few weeks ago? And I haven't instantly cast on 5 new things. I thought, no, do you know what? I'm just going to go with what I've still got on the needles and see how I feel. So I think I've got 3 things to show you today, and I've only got one other thing on the needles, and it feels so light, and I'm getting more knitted on.
Yeah, because you're knitting less things.
Yeah, because I'm knitting on less things. It's you see, simplify. Simplify is the word of the moment, because that's what I've been doing with lots of things, haven't I? With like my wardrobe, I cleared out my wardrobe. Yeah. And
you are exactly right. Certainly when it comes to wardrobe, simplify. There's nothing worse, is there, than opening up your wardrobe and just seeing a great big pile of clothes.
Which is what mine was like.
And just picking up a t-shirt from down there, because and there being hundreds of things hung up that you never ever go near.
No, so I just got rid of 70% of my wardrobe, would you say?
Yeah, and it's all ready to go
and it's going to
charity.
the charity. Go to the charity shop tomorrow. Yeah.
We have, though, just given the answer to the balance problem with what is on that light box. Because if you have a problem with your balance in any area of your life, the way to get balance back is to simplify.
Yeah.
Because if you simplify, you will find your balance, and then you can diversify again.
Yeah.
So if you need balance, simplify.
It's definitely been a really good thing for me to do just lately. Yeah. And I am carrying that
Everyone
kind
needs
of
to do
thing.
it every so often.
Yeah, and I've carried it through. I've done my wardrobe. I'm going to go through my yarn and just really assess, will I ever knit with that? Will I ever knit with that? And I'm very careful about what I buy.
I'm worried that once you've done your yarn, you're going to move on to your husband.
I've only got one of them, so that's quite simple, isn't it? Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, I shall show you. It's down here. Now.
Oh, it's a cute little shorts bag.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes. I miss these shorts. These are my favourite shorts.
I miss those shorts too.
I'm still not completely happy with my shorts balance.
No,
I'm not.
No, the short situation I can see is going to be a problem come the warm weather.
Those, and I don't think we're far off it.
No.
Yesterday.
Oh, do you know?
Popped out yesterday. You can be quiet. I won't say to you what you said to me the other night when we were watching the telly.
I was very sleepy.
Really? You don't want to know, folks. Look, this is the time of year, and I'm sure this happens in every season when it changes from winter into spring, where you look out your front door and it's pouring with rain, and it's maybe slightly on the chilly side. It's cloudy, so you put on your raincoat, which seems to always have a certain amount of associated warmth attached to it. And then I do have another raincoat which has no warmth attached to it, which gets wet, and then you just get cold because it's wet and the wind blows on it and you just feel cold. So there's no in between. So you put on one coat and off you go. Everything's lovely. And then the rain stops, the clouds break, and the sun bakes.
And it was really warm, and we were all like raincoats and hats, and because we just popped into town.
And do you know what? I just thought, do you know what?
And I could hear him. Me and Bryony were walking in front, and I could hear him chuntering behind. Oh, stupid weather! I'm gonna have to take my coat off. He was like this. I said, "Oh, Bryony, come on! I can't stand it. You and me'll just walk off and pretend he's not ours."
But enough of that.
Anyway.
Oh no! I've stabbed my knitting. This is a stree sock.
Oh, we've had dilemmas
Here
with
it
the
is.
sock, haven't
Well,
we?
if you've been following my Instagram feed, you would have noticed that a number of days ago, I think it was about the 29th of March, I posted a picture saying, I've just turned the heel on my stree socks. Well, the funny thing was, I hadn't turned the heel. I just forgot to turn the heel and started doing the gusset decreases. And I'm knitting away and I'm thinking, there's an awful lot of gusset decreases. There was hundreds of them. I mean, it was like all along my needle. And I think, did I just say...
No, you didn't say anything. You were just sat knitting. You put it away and you started knitting something else, and it was 5 minutes later you said something. You started laughing to yourself. I said, oh, what are you laughing at? Because he randomly laughs all the time. And I'm like, oh, what are you laughing at now? And he's like, I forgot to turn the heel. I said, what do you mean? You forgot to turn the heel? He said, I forgot to do it. I said, oh, well, give it to me and I'll sort it out. And he's like, no, I'll do it. But I didn't.
I don't think I did.
Oh, did you not?
I didn't.
Oh, right. No, you said don't do it now or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we did it the next day.
Ripping back dramatic amounts of projects I have not got a clue about.
There was a fair bit. You'd knit a fair bit.
Oh, yes.
A couple of inches, gusset decreases. That's awful, isn't it? To have to go back and redo those.
So, Kay ripped it back for me, and I set off again. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of not knitting the one you'd given me that I'd written down in my amazing book. This book rules. And this comes back to the whole simplify thing.
Right.
Because I know we're thinking, oh, he was like having a go at me about pads and all that. I'm with you all the way. Look, before I started knitting, you are in this world that the world that we live in today puts you in, which is fast-paced, electronic devices, moving forward, current thing. Don't use notebooks, use Evernote, use Notes. Evernote is an app. You use this, that, or the other. Everything's synced across 100 different devices. With knitting, with certain things in life, with baking, your baking book is right there. Yeah. With all, there's certain things in life which need to be written down. It's the same with music. It needs to be handwritten down, because when you handwrite it down, like that heel turn, it helps you learn it.
It's true.
It goes into your head.
There is something about physically writing something
there is.
As opposed to typing it.
Or copy and pasting.
Yeah.
Or taking a photo, storing a photo. Oh, no, don't do it. Write it down, because it goes into your head. And what is this? This is simple. It's not complex, is it? It's a book. Yeah? So in here, Kay had given me the perfect heel turn, and I didn't do it.
You didn't do it.
So it all went wrong.
It did.
Looked terrible.
Looked
so
awful.
I had to go once again to my ripper backer, who ripped back for the second time. Third time lucky. Yippee!
It's okay now.
Finally, he gets there. Now, this is a lovely 2-row repeat that creates just the most... It flows straight out of the 1x1 rib into the pattern, and it is just great to do. And I think those are pretty damn good. Yeah. I use Kay's 2-stitch pick up. And it really does look good. And when you consider that there was some purl stitches going on...
Yeah, it's more tricky when you've got a pattern going on in that area, but you can still do it.
I have, which is amazing. If I can do it, you can do it. So, enjoying this, really enjoying this. And do you know what? I think I'm probably enjoying this slightly more now the Dumbledore project is finished.
Ah, cool.
Because I'm not feeling quite so pressured. But I also, it's because I know that the end is in sight.
Yeah.
I know that when I finish this, that's it, and I'll just have one pair of socks on the go.
And it's in some yarn that I dyed down
Lovely
for
Christmas present. So yeah,
These
lovely
gorgeous
sock.
sort of autumn colours, and it's the BFL Sport that I've spoken about a lot. And I am going to order some of this the next time I order yarn. I'm going to order some, and I'm going to dye some yarn for the shop.
Cool.
On that base.
So that is my lovely Stree socks. I think I need to release her. She's been desperate to show you these. She's already half showed you these.
I know.
Okay, Jones, what's on your needles?
You're going to be bored now because I've already showed you and spoke about it. But I'll carry on, shall I?
Yes, pick up where you left off.
So where did I stop? So I stopped when I was showing you... I was telling you what colours I'd put into this one. So you can see this will be an edge block, because this edge here is double the size of these edges. And it's mainly my own hand dyed for these. That one, as I was saying, this one is the Dumbledore, and it's the Dumbledore as in what's his name? I never can remember his name. Oh, and there's his one.
Yes. This is my one.
Not Richard Harris, the other one.
Michael Gambon.
Thank you.
He's a genius.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like a lilac-y grey with then specks of gold and salmon to reflect the colour of his robes. And then this one is Marauder's Map. I love that one. That one was Last Christmas, which was one of the colours out of the advent calendar that I did. And then this one actually is I think it's a Skein Queen. I'm pretty sure that one's a Skein Queen mini. But it's all these neutrals, and I think that looks lovely. So, I mean, that one might not go next to that one, but, you know, that's how it will go. This is an edge piece, and this one is like a centre piece. So I just loved knitting these, and because there's only 4 little mitered squares, it's very quick. You know, I can knit up a block in a couple of days, and that's a very satisfying feeling. So I picked out my next colours, and I decided to go with blues for this one. And I've got, I think 2 colours. These 2 were from the advent calendar that I did. So 2 lovely blues there. And then this one was a Hedgerow Yarns. Oh, I love it. There's a tiny bit of green in there as well, but it's mainly blues. And then I've got 2 others. This one I dyed myself. I think it was for my original Bits and Bobs I dyed that one. And then this one is from the advent calendar that me and my friend Sarah did, the swap that we did this year. And this is a Lay Family Yarns. It's Kelly Lay's yarn. And it's just this lovely sort of pale turquoise, I would say. So I've actually got 5 there, and I only need 4, but I will just decide as I'm knitting them which looks best. So I'm going to carry on with those, and just whenever I fancy knitting up a little block, and it'll be a great project as well to take on holiday, I think, just because, you know, it's so small. And this is one of the great things about my stitching time. It's my favourite thing about it is that you don't have to lug the entire big blanket with you, you know, when you're travelling or, you know, moving from one room to the next or whatever. You can just have a few little minis in a small project bag, and away you go.
As I alluded to at the start of the show, Colourwork needs a plan. And the plan, I think, with anything which requires a certain amount of skill with regards to your tension, is with practice. Yeah. So, before casting on and beginning my journey to the centre of the yoke, which is the name of my brand new show, beginning at the end of this month, where I'll be charting every step of my journey, just like I did with the Dan and Lara project. But the difference between the Dan and Lara project and the journey to the centre of the yoke is, when I set out my Dan and Lara project, is I wanted to find out if I was a sock knitter or not. Mm-hmm. And I think I am a sock knitter now.
I think you are a sock knitter. You're not an avid sock knitter.
No. And I established...
You quite enjoy that.
I established on my last episode of... I mean, it was an interesting thing to do. I'm really glad that I did the whole videoing and you know, thinking about it once a month. And that's why we're going to do the same thing with the Colourwork. Because when you get to the end of a year, you really can look back effectively at what you've done. Yeah. And 2 things happened. The first thing was I really was quite shocked at the pile of socks I'd knit. Because I'd only knit like 2 pairs of socks before I started, hadn't I? I'd barely done any. 3 is an absolute maximum. So, you know, seeing that pile of socks, and also the quality of those socks was so much better than anything.
Very good.
Well, they're not. They're absolutely.
are.
They're absolutely
Take no notice
fine.
of him. They are very good.
I'm not professing to be remotely brilliant at knitting socks. What I'm saying
But you
is,
can knit a perfectly lovely pair of socks.
I can now knit a pair of socks, and I understand every bit of how it works. So at no point am I, unless I forget to do the heel, and have to think back.
I bet lots of people have forgotten to do that.
Yes, I'm just not very good at ripping back, and that's something which I will have to get better at. What I established was that actually I don't have second socks in them. I don't have a problem in casting on the next sort of
No, I
knitting
don't.
it.
Generally, I don't.
But the thing is, though, it's a bit boring.
Because you've already done it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it already.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again.
That's why people get second sock syndrome. They've already done it. Don't want to do another one exactly the same.
But I have a plan, and I forgot.
You're not going to do two at a time.
I forgot to tell you about this.
You're going to do two at a time?
Certainly not.
Oh.
I'll tell you. I spoke about this at length in the last 10 Lara project, and I've never told you, so I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
My plan for socks is this. I will have one pair of socks on the go. Yeah. I will knit the first sock.
Right.
When I have finished the first sock, I will cast on a second pair of socks.
Right.
I will knit the first sock.
And then you go back to the
I
other
will then
one.
go back and I will knit the second sock of the
On
first
the first
pair.
pair.
And then I will go and knit the second sock on the second pair.
And then you won't be bored.
And then I won't be bored. And I'll have two pairs of socks instead of one. Two for the price of one.
That's a good plan.
Yes.
The other thing that I've done, actually, I've done this a few times, and there's only one reason why I don't do this now, and I will tell you. But a lot of people split their ball in half, have two sets of needles, and then knit them both concurrently. Is that the right word? At the same time? So you will do the cuff on one, the cuff on the other.
Right.
Leg on one, leg on the other.
I can't bother with that.
Well, I have done that a few times, and
Whatever works for you.
the only reason I don't do it is because you've got two leftover balls left, haven't you, at the end of that? And
Too many lefts
I
in that
don't.
sentence.
Yeah, I don't like having two leftover bits of yarn of the same yarn. Because if I wanted then maybe to knit, for example, if I'd used 50 grams of the sock yarn to knit a pair of socks, if I'd done contrast heels and stuff, I've got 50 grams left and I could knit a sock head hat with that. But then I've got a break in it and I've got to join the yarns. And I know that's not a huge thing. That just kind of bugs me. And I don't generally have a problem knitting the second sock, I don't think. Sometimes I'm like, oh, you know, but as long as I cast it on straight away, I don't generally have a problem. So
I have
that's
so much
my
more.
reasoning.
I have there's so much more fun in knitting something bigger for me because
Right.
there's a constant engagement and there's a constant.
That's fine, and
yeah,
that's
exactly.
why it's such a brilliant craft, because there's something for everybody.
There
isn't
absolutely is. There absolutely is. So what am I actually knitting?
there? What are you knitting?
Well, as I said, I needed to knit something else in Colourwork, and I found this lovely pattern by this lovely young designer.
Oh, really? Don't get me started on that.
Yes, I decided I wanted to knit Kay's. Well, I don't want to give it a name. I don't want to give it
hasn't got a name
And
yet.
we mustn't start calling it something because then it will become that
Yeah.
without you properly naming it.
No, it hasn't got a
So
name yet.
Kay has designed a Colourwork hat, which she showed you last time.
Yeah.
It's all based on the scene in Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
And it's the one that you saw in the last episode. It's got the tracks on it and it's got the design of the windows,
Yeah.
and none of that is what I've knit because I'm just knitting the rib.
None of that is what I've knit.
None of
What
that
on earth?
is on what I have knit so far
right.
because I am just knitting the rib. But what I have to tell you about is this yarn colourway
It's lovely.
because it is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, you like it?
It is gorgeous.
I ordered a bunch more of the Drops Alaska. I am slightly addicted to the Drops
I
Alaska.
mean, it's like the most lovely purple.
It's like a
But it's
aubergine.
more
I would
than
call
purple.
it aubergine. Oh, isn't it lovely? It's colour number 54. So it's the Drops Alaska and it's colour number 54. And it is a lovely, and again, it's got a heathery look to it,
That's
hasn't
what
it?
makes it so lovely.
It's got a kind of, it's just very heathered. I hope you can see that. And
I
then
am
you're just
so.
using, I just got you some cream for the contrast.
And what am I knitting your new Colourwork jumper in?
It's Drops.
Yes.
Something else.
Yes.
It's a superwash DK. I can't remember the name of it now, but there isn't, and I have had a look, and I don't think there is a non-superwash drops DK apart from the one that's got alpaca in. I know there is one that's got alpaca in, but I can't wear alpaca.
Every bit.
It's a shame.
Because I'm obviously knitting the Samantha in this, aren't I?
Yes.
It's the most unbelievable. It's the nicest yarn I think I've knit with.
It's brilliant. It's and obviously Dan's vest is knit with it, and you've wore this loads already, haven't you? And there's no pilling under the arms or anything at the moment. You know, it's just brilliant, and I really wish there was a DK weight version.
Well,
but it is fantastic, and I know a lot of you have messaged me to say thank you for letting us know about this yarn, because it's brilliant. You know, if you're on a tighter budget, because you're getting 100% wool. Really, I think really lovely quality wool at such a great price.
I see you backstep from that. Make me a millionaire, and I would be knitting that hat.
I would still want, absolutely, I would still want to knit with this yarn, even if I had every bit of money in the world.
It has nothing to do with budget.
No, but I bought it because it was cheap. I'll be honest, that's why I initially bought it, and I just did not expect it to be as good. Yeah,
in the first instance.
Yeah.
But actually, once you've knit with it, it would be I'd knit everything in this.
I would too.
But
you know, it's brilliant.
Enough of that. I'm on the rib. Next time, I mean, I need to push on with this because I'm starting filming the Journey to the Centre of the Yoke at the end of this month.
Right.
So I need to be casting that jumper on at the end of this month. But you know, it's a hat. And I blitzed.
I knit mine in a weekend.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
What else is on your needles?
Well,
this
is an exciting new cast on.
Is it exciting?
Yes.
And it's new?
Yes.
And it's a cast on?
So I'm back on my Mitmas mission, if you like, and I thought, right, I'm going to cast on another pair of mittens. And I've done that. And I bought this pattern actually a while ago. It's a paid-for pattern. And I'd seen this being knit, I think she's knit it several times actually, but Julie, Little Cotton Rabbits, she has knit this pattern, I think, a few times, and it just looks so pretty. And it's the Welted Fingerless Gloves by Church Mouse Yarns and Tees. Paid for pattern on Ravelry. And it's this lovely, I'll show you a picture there, it's got the pattern, but it's basically a simple fingerless mitt with like this welted cuff, which you can put little buttons on if you want to, and I can see me doing that. And it uses a DK weight, and I had some yarn that was sent to me recently by a lovely friend. She got some for herself, and she thought, oh, I bet Kay would like that. I'm going to get her some. I mean, that's so sweet. So she sent me 2 balls of this yarn. It's fingering weight, it's a sock yarn, and it's by Onion Knit. Is that the company? Onion, I think, is the company. Kind of confuses me because I think it's made of onions, but it's not. The company is Onion, and it's Nettle sock yarn. It's 70% wool and 30% nettle fibres.
Does it sting when you touch it?
No, but it's funny, you kind of expect it to. Oh, it's nettles. And it's a sock yarn.
God, my grandpa used to beat himself with nettles.
Nettles, a lot of people do that.
To stop himself getting arthritis.
Circulation, yeah. I didn't know this, but apparently nettle fibres are very strong. So it's a good substitute for nylon.
Oh, wow. That's good.
And I do get asked a lot, actually, if there is, could I recommend a sock yarn that doesn't have nylon? Because I know a lot of people are conscious about the whole plastics thing.
Yes.
So this, I mean, I'm not knitting socks with it, but just from knitting with it, I think it would make brilliant socks. It feels very sturdy.
Maybe you should get some and knit some socks.
Yeah, I think I probably will.
You need to do a review of this.
Yeah, but this is the yarn here. And it's called Nettle Sock Yarn. And I had a look, I don't know where my friend bought it from, but I had a little search, and I'm presuming she got it from you can get it in this country from Wild and Woolly. It's on their website, you can get it there, and I think it's about £5 for a 50-gram ball. So I think that's pretty good. So you'd need 2 for socks, so about £10, for 100 grams. The colour I've got is 1029, and I looked that up, and because it's a Danish company, so all of the colourway names are in Danish, but I think it might be Rose. It was LYS, which is funny, and then Rosa, So it's some kind of rose colourway.
Someone out there will be able to translate that for us.
One word was LYS and then the other word was Rosa, ROSA. So it's 1029 is the colourway I've got. So you can get it from Wild and Woolly, and then when I was searching for it, Stephen and Penelope, is it? They had it, and I think there was a couple of others as well in the US. But I just searched for Nettle sock yarn, and it came up. So, and this is the lovely colourway. It's beautiful. It's like a soft, dusky rose colour. In fact, it kind of blends in with my jumper.
Kay did not knit that jumper.
I did not knit this jumper.
The jumper was purchased from Next, I think.
It was from Next, yeah. So this is the colour. And I've doubled it, like I say, because then you get about a DK weight, I think, if you double fingering weight. And this is where I'm up to. I only cast these on yesterday afternoon.
Wow. Nice cuff.
Yeah, and this
Looks
is
very
where
classy, that. That's a
Doesn't
type of posh.
it? That is so strange that you've said that.
Right.
Because that was one of the words that I wrote down in my journal this morning.
Did you put posh?
Travelling life, the travelling life for me. No.
Can you name the film? I wonder if anyone can name the film.
I wonder if you can name the film.
Don't tell them. And then can you link that film to the Railway Children?
Yes.
Move on.
You'll need to sing the song again.
Oh, the posh travelling life, the travelling life for me.
Can you name the film? This is where I'm up to, look. And this is the thumb gusset here. I really like how the thumb gusset's done. Can you see there's a pearl stitch there running down here, down the sides of the increases. And in the pattern it tells you to use stitch markers like you would normally do, for a thumb gusset. I haven't needed to because I've got the pearl stitches marking where it is. I think that's absolute genius. So I put in the stitch markers, and after the first round I took them out because I thought I don't need them, because I know where to do the increases because of the little pearl stitches. And I think it just adds something to it, doesn't it? It's just that little bit of detail that adds something to it. Now you do, because you've got these welts, you do have to purl in the round to get these. I don't have a problem purling in the round. I don't find it particularly tricky. The only thing is I'm using DPNs for this, which I'm enjoying, but you can see a little difference, where you are changing needles. Can you see here, look? There's a bit of a line. I was very conscious of that, and really conscious when I was doing the pearls to just try and keep them tight across the join, but for some reason it still was producing that little line. But I'm hoping when I wash them that might just block. It's not terrible by any means. So I'm right at the point where I've finished the increases now for the thumb. It's so quick, and this yarn, it's got a sheen to it. Can you see? Yes. It's kind of slightly shiny, and that must be the nettle. You can feel that, you can feel that bit of a prickle, and that again must be the nettle. But for socks and on your hands, totally fine. I wouldn't have an issue at all. And I'll try and pop this on. It's on DPN, so it's kind of difficult, isn't it? But I think the little welts, in hindsight, I wish I'd done another one just to make it a little bit longer, I think, on the cuff. Overall, I think it's super lovely. And just gorgeous yarn, and I do think it would make brilliant socks. I think I will go and buy a couple of balls actually to knit socks, and it would be brilliant for a pair of socks, that's got lots of maybe cables going on or lots of texture, because it's such a simple yarn. Simplicity, you see, enjoying the simplicity, and I'm just loving. I'll be honest, I thought, oh yeah, I'll enjoy it, but I didn't think I would love it as much as I am. It's just got it's interesting. It's really interesting yarn to knit with. And it has got a bit of a halo. I don't know if you can see. And again, that must be the nettle. But I would say this, obviously I've not knit socks with it, so I can't comment for certain, but I think it would make great socks.
I'm continuing into the second sock of the checked and squared socks. Finished one with the umbrella toe and also case 2-stitch pickup.
Did you like doing that toe?
Yeah, it's very good.
I asked you.
Yeah.
You liked it?
Absolutely. It's way more interesting than knitting a wedge toe.
I do prefer it. I'm going to knit it on these socks of yours.
I mean, there's nothing wrong at all with a wedge toe,
No,
but
not at all.
I think you're right in the fact that it does create weakness down the sides.
Yeah, and I think that one might just be a bit more robust.
Yeah, definitely. So you've done one, and on with the next one.
Oh, look, I'm going to put it on a blocker.
And
So it's all pretty.
what I really, really enjoy about this particular pattern, the Stree, definitely it creates a really nice fabric, but the fabric's just gorgeous. It feels really gorgeous. It's interesting. It's sort of knobbly. It's a 4-row. Would you call it a 4-row repeat? It is, isn't it? Because you're offsetting.
Repeat,
it's a 4-row repeat, and it creates this really sort of chunky. Really.
Oh, look at that
chunky.
Now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. They're very festive, aren't they?
And this yarn, it's interesting going from knitting with the drops to knitting with this.
Yeah.
This just works a lot easier. The drops is great.
Yeah, it's quite it's grabby, isn't it?
It is.
The drops.
The drops is grabby. The drops feels like wool.
Yeah, it feels like.
It's not itchy though. It's not. I'm
itchy.
wearing it.
It's not itchy
It feels
at all.
smooth.
Not itchy at all.
But I think that's where you do feel the difference
Yeah, because
between.
that's superwash.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Superwash is always more glidey, isn't it? Because they've removed that outer layer of whatever it is, to
stuff.
To stop it. Yeah, and that's why superwash stretches to oblivion, because they've removed the part of the fibres basically.
But
it's lovely, that.
Part way into the leg, and looking forward to getting this finished. Actually, I'm really looking forward to getting these
Are they
3
mine
pairs.
or Brian's? I can't
You
remember.
guys can fight it out.
I can't remember.
Fight it out afterwards.
We've got the same size feet at the moment.
Thankfully.
So. The last thing I've got today is Dan's Scrappy Socks. That currently I'm saying are the ugliest socks I've ever knitted, but I think that's debatable.
Yeah, because you've knit way uglier ones.
I don't know that I have.
That's not what you meant.
No, that's not what I meant.
But that's what it sounded like.
I've put the picture up of these on Instagram, and some people have said, oh, they look brilliant. In fact, everybody did. I think even if you thought they weren't quite so pretty, you've been very kind. So thank you for that. But I think it's one of those things that when they're finished, I'll probably like them more. And at the end of the day, you really like them.
Yeah.
And one of the other most important things is they're really fun to knit, which really is what it's all about, isn't it? They're super fun to knit, and it's been really quick because you are changing, in my case, I'm changing yarns every 10 rows. So this is where I'm up to. I don't think it looks ugly, actually, looking at it there. It just looks kind of colourful, doesn't it? And fun. And I've got, I think, and the other good thing is it's really easy to count your rows because you're just counting how many, stripes you've done, which is brilliant. So I've got 3 more of the 10-row stripes after this one I'm working on now. And then I should be at the toe. I mean, I'll double check that, but because this because this is knit up a lot quicker than normal for your socks, it feels like I need to knit more rows, but I will obviously double check it. So that's where I'm up to. This is the Opal Advent mini calendar that I spoke about last time.
It doesn't scream Christmas to me.
Basket. Well, they're not festive colours at all.
No, they should, shouldn't it?
I think there's only one of them to me that looked
Don't you agree?
festive.
That Kay's just knit up, so all of that came out of the Advent calendar.
Yeah.
You've used nothing else.
No.
Surely that should... Advent calendars are normally full of things that are festive.
I mean, when I did mine, I themed them all around Christmas songs. So, it had
But I think that the point should be that
I think
when
that
you...
one looks kind of festive with the blue and the white, maybe.
That should scream Christmas.
Well, it doesn't, does
No.
it? I mean...
It screams Doctor Who to me.
There are some of them that I don't like at all, and I can't imagine what a full pair of socks would look like.
Weird.
I don't like this one. See this black and white here? What is that one all about? That's not very Opalish, is it?
No.
I don't know what colour range that's from, but I don't really like it. But in the sock as a whole, I don't think it. Because at first I said, does that black and white stand out like an absolute sore thumb? And you said no, I still think it kind of does. But when the whole thing's done, it'll be fine.
Yes.
So I'm just doing the normal 72 stitches for Dan on 2.5mm ChowGoo mini twists. There we go. So that's I'm just working away on that.
Cool.
And I'm really enjoying it.
That's that then.
Yeah.
Excellent. I have a new cast on for you.
That's lovely.
I have a new cast on for you.
I can't look at it. Oh,
Look at the size of it.
look at that.
This is a new cast on.
Oh, it's beautiful. Who's this for?
Well, I don't mind. Look, I just control yourself. Look at it. When did I become someone who, when I said I had a new cast on, it would be like that, and then I'd show it the week after, and it'd be like that, and then the week after it'd be like that, and then like that, and then like that. That's a new cast on. What's going on?
Oh, it's lovely.
Now, there you go.
Thanks.
I've knit this hat twice before, and both times I've messed it up.
Yeah.
This hat has within it.
At.
Don't start picking.
I'm not. It looks great.
This hat has within it make one left, make one right, and make one pearlwise. And it's a brilliant hat to knit to perfect those skills. Now, I've done it twice and got it wrong and messed it up both times. And what we thought would be a lovely thing to do would be to film a tutorial series where Kay does the teaching, I do the knitting, and I get it right for once. So that started this week, started on Tuesday, and it's going out every Tuesday for the next 4 weeks. And we will knit this hat from start to finish. And we will get it right.
You've not said what the hat is.
It is the Declans Hat. It's free pattern on Ravelry. Really, really lovely hat. I have 2 of them, and I love them both.
I've knit it twice.
You have. It really is.
3 times, because I've got one too.
You have. It's a very airy hat because of the cables, because of the way it works. It's quite a good hat to wear when it's not really warm.
Oh, really?
It'll work for you when it's really warm too.
Yeah.
But if it's like today, I could put on my Declan's hat, go out with it, and it's long, and I wouldn't be too warm because it lets the air in.
Right.
It's a good hat.
But look at this colour.
I can still knit tight when I want to.
Look at that colour. Is that not absolutely amazing? And that is a true colour reflection. Isn't that just gorgeous? Colour
reflection. Isn't that something? Colour reflection.
depiction.
Oh no! Isn't that a pattern? Colour affection. That's it. Sorry.
Can you remember when everybody in the world was knitting the colour affection?
I can. I just remembered.
A few years back.
Yes.
Everybody was knitting that, and I've never knit it.
Right.
Gosh, it's a thought, isn't it?
This is Flash
Isn't
Dance.
it? It's Madeline Tosh.
Yes.
It was a gift.
Yes.
And I've had it in my stash a little while, actually. It's Tosh DK Flash Dance.
And I've got to say, when I cast this on and knit a few rows,
It's
I did think to
gorgeous.
myself, what a feeling.
Did you? Is that,
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I mean, just look, there's a knot. Yeah, not very good, is it? Look at that.
It's gorgeous.
It is absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
It looks beautiful, and this is supposed to be a gift, I think, isn't it? But my goodness.
I don't give a monkey's what happens to it. The purpose of me knitting
have
that
to-
is
might have to keep
to
this
perfect my increases, baby.
And it looks brilliant, because you were getting holes, you were doing the wrong increase.
Yeah.
Where it said to do a make one left, he was doing a make one right, so it producing a hole or something, or there was something
No,
not
I was
right.
getting to make one pearl wise and doing it wrong.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Right.
So we have
But it looks brilliant.
filmed and produced. We're in the process of filming. 2 episodes in.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to have to keep this one.
Yeah.
But this is the problem. I end up keeping every single hat and pair of gloves that we make, and I have a massive mountain of them. And
A pair of gloves in that would look lovely.
oh, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is an
It's
absolutely...
a gorgeous colour. It's a long time since I've knit with Madeline Tosh, actually. Only because it's still very expensive to buy in this country.
The Cowl of Doom in...
No, it wasn't Madeline Tosh.
Oh,
it
pink.
was
Countess of Blaze.
Countess of Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, and that was bright.
It was bright pink.
Yes,
It was lovely.
shocking.
Gorgeous.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment.
I want to sing a song.
This is the moment.
No.
This is the day.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
All right.
That Jane McDonald sang.
Oh, that would... Don't even start talking about that programme.
This is the moment is a song from Jacqueline. Is it Jacqueline Hyde or is it? Oh, I see. This is tricky now.
I have no idea. Is it a musical?
It is Jacqueline Hyde. It's from Jacqueline Hyde. Yes, come on.
Jackal and Hyde?
Yes.
What's Jackal? Jackal.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Not Jekyll.
Oh, whatever. Don't talk to me about pronunciations.
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean
It's a
Jekyll?
musical. Yes.
Jekyll and Hyde.
All right.
Right. Oh, look. I'll wand you.
Yes, I'll wand you. Now get off my wand. Now, this really is the moment. The pudding club began, and we started with the lovely, gorgeous syrup sponge and custard.
Yes.
Now, we have now completely established, because Kay has now made me homemade custard twice, that it is the most gorgeous thing in the history of the world. And today's pudding will go beautifully with that custard that we made last time. Now, we're not going to make custard again today because we made it last time. If you want to make custard, you can go back and you can watch that. And it's linked in the show notes and all of that. But the pudding today is an English institution.
It is.
It is a taste of old England.
Yeah.
If you want
It's
to
a very
talk,
old recipe, isn't it?
if you want to talk about where did the syrup sponge come from, this is where it came from. Puddings in this country were made with suet. That's just how it was. And it's through the course of time that, you know, they've been tweaked, changed, and some might say improved, to the point where we made our lovely light syrup sponge.
Very light. The syrup sponge was a very light pudding, I think.
Today's pudding is not light.
It's not light.
Today's pudding is for serious men.
Yes.
Who have serious work to do. This, ladies and gentlemen, is my favourite pudding.
And you didn't have a problem doing that work?
I did not.
No.
I don't know what that work means. Or
Eating
is.
the pudding.
Right. It is time for us to introduce you to Spotted Dick.
Spotted Dick. I think it's been way too long since we did some baking. We want to share with you some of the tastes of our childhood. These were the dishes that were served to us by our mums and our grandmas. We know our favourites, but we would love to know yours. So we're going to bake all of our favourite puddings. And at the end of the series, you can vote for your favourite. This year, why don't you join me for the Bakery Bears Pudding Club? So come on, let's get baking. Spotted Dick. It's time for us to tackle one of Britain's most infamous and delicious puddings. But before we start, we need to address how on earth did it get its name? Well, Spotted Dick first appeared in Alexis Soyer's The Modern Housewife. This was a collection of recipes first published in 1849. Alexis Soyer was quite the character. He was in fact the very first celebrity chef. He was born in France in 1810 and he found international fame when he became head chef at London's Reform Club. By 1849 he was ready to write his culinary masterpiece and it sold copies in the thousands across the world. Within the book appears, for the first time anywhere, Spotted Dick. Alexis Soyers did not actually invent it, but like so many celebrity chefs he took local popular dishes and he put his own stamp on it. Victorian families across the country have been enjoying this delicious pudding for many years. But how did this quintessentially English pudding get such an obscure name? The spotted refers merely to the fact the finished pudding is spotted with currants. And the dick comes from the shortened Old English names for pudding, which were pudog or pudick. That's why in Scotland, spotted dick is often called spotted dog. Enough talk, let's get baking. Okay, so what baking notions do we need for our spotted dick? Well, actually we don't need very many at all, to be honest. We're just going to need a bowl for weighing out all our dry ingredients, some kitchen weighing scales, a 1 litre, this is actually the same bowl that I used for the syrup sponge. So this is a 1 litre pudding basin. Mine is Pyrex. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere, but the capacity is 1 litre. Just a spoon for stirring, and of course your steamer, which is the same steamer that I use for steaming all of my kind of pudding things. And this is just a basic steamer that's tiered, and it'll fit on the top of several different types of pans. I really like this sort. Picked it up from just my local sort of, what would you call it, like a homewares shop, and it was about £9 I think, so very cheap. That's really everything that we're going to need to make our lovely spotted dick. So what will we actually need in terms of ingredients? We're going to need some plain flour, and along with the plain flour, some baking powder, some caster sugar, which is the fine grained sugar, some suet. Now I'm using beef suet, but you can get vegetarian suet if you prefer. I've never used vegetarian suet, but I know it is very widely available, but I'm going to use the sort of traditional thing that would be used to make this recipe, and that's beef suet. We're going to need some currants and some butter. Not a lot of butter actually, just a little bit. Some single cream, which is the thinner cream, and a couple of nice lemons. Now make sure, if you can, that these are unwaxed, because it's the actual sort of the zest of the lemon that we're going to be using as well, and we don't want to be putting wax really into our lovely pudding. And we'll also need a little bit of milk, but that's just still in the fridge waiting. So we're all ready, let's get baking. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is to put all of our dry ingredients into a bowl. So I'm just going to weigh everything out. I'll just move my bowl out of the way for a minute. So we just pop the bowl onto the scales and just start weighing out all your dry ingredients. So that's your flour, your sugar, your suet, baking powder and currants. So next in I'm going to put the baking powder, and it calls for 2 tablespoons of baking powder. So I do always use a proper measure, because you know, 1 spoon can be vastly different to another spoon. So I do use a proper tablespoon measure. And to be honest, even when you're doing this, somebody might measure out, you know, a bit more than another person. But I tend to just try and get a flat tablespoon. That to me is a tablespoon. So just measure out flat tablespoon, 2 of them. So this is the suet. If you've never seen shredded suet, this is what it looks like. It looks kind of like little grains of rice. It's kind of separated out with a bit of flour in there so that it doesn't all stick together. We used to have this quite a lot growing up, made into dumplings and put into a stew. And it's delicious, I've got to say. So I'm just going to measure out the suet. With this recipe, as opposed to the syrup sponge, there is a lot more sort of weight-wise ingredients going into it. It does produce a much larger volume pudding. So I think a few of you said that, you know, the syrup sponge was delicious, but you wanted more of it. Well, this produces a much bigger volume. It will come, you know, it will fill the pudding base, and it will, when it's cooked, it'll be right to the very top. And it is a very substantial pudding, so it would serve a lot more people than like the same volume of a golden syrup sponge. So from that point of view, it's, you know, it's great. It's very hearty. So I'm just going to give all this a little quick stir. Just amalgamate all your dry ingredients, because we put that baking powder in there as well, and we want that all distributed through. We don't want sort of a big lump of it in one area. So just give everything a nice stir. And now all we're going to do is we're going to sort out all the kind of wet ingredients, and then we just put one to the other. So that's all our dry ingredients. Okay, so now we're going to just measure out all our wet ingredients, and I'm just going to put them into a separate bowl. So first of all, we've got the milk. And I just use semi-skimmed milk. And then we're going to need some cream. And it's the same volume of cream as you've just used of milk, which is 75 mils. It's kind of not for the faint-hearted, this pudding, to which Dan will attest. But so it's quite a luxury pudding, I would say. It's a special occasion kind of thing. Or maybe not. Why not have it midweek after your jacket potatoes? So I'm now going to add the zest and the juice of the 2 lemons. So when you're taking the zest off, you just want to take off, can you see that very top layer, the bright yellow? You don't want to go down to this white. It's just the very top zest. So I just use a little, what I suppose is a cheese grater, and just go round, taking off the zest of both of the lemons straight into your dry ingredients. And it smells lovely doing this bit. There we go. So make sure you get all of the zest from the inside, because there's usually loads stuck in there. And now we're just going to squeeze in the juice. A good way of getting the maximum amount of juice out of a lemon is if you just give it a little roll on your chopping board beforehand. Whoops. That releases the juice inside, and you'll find that you get a lot more juice. So just cut in half. And then all I do is I just squeeze it over my hand, and my hand catches all the seeds. But if you've got a lemon juicer, then just obviously use that. You can see all the juice, it pours out really easily if you just give your lemon a little roll. So just give that a stir. And then you want to add in your melted butter. We've just melted just an ounce of butter, which is about 25 grams. So we're just going to pop that in. We're not using a lot of butter because basically the suet is the fat. And just give that a mix. And now we're going to add in just enough of the milk and cream mixture to give you a soft dropping consistency. So get your milk and cream mixture and just start adding it in. And just keep mixing. You might find that you don't need it all. You might find you need a touch more, because all different flours absorb different amounts. So if you need a touch more, I would just use a touch more milk. You can see now it's kind of coming together, but it's still way too thick. So we'll keep going. So we've used all of that milk and cream. So let's see where that leaves us after we give this a mix. I feel like I might need just a touch more milk. And now we're getting there. So by soft dropping consistency, what that means is that if you take a spoonful of your mixture and do that, it would drop off. And you can see it's not quite, it's dropping, but it's still a little bit stiff. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And don't be afraid, if the recipe says use X amount of liquid, if when you've added that amount of liquid you think your mixture's not quite where it should be, don't be afraid to add a bit more, because like I say, different brands of flour absorb different amounts of liquid. So, don't be afraid to just use your judgment. And I think we're there with that. So you can see that's just dropping. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to put all of that lovely mixture into our pudding bowl. I'm just making sure it's thoroughly stirred. We've got our buttered pudding basin, and we're just going to drop the mixture in. Okay, so that's our lovely mixture in the pudding basin. And we're going to do the same thing as we did for the golden syrup sponge. So I'm going to cover that in the foil, make a pleat in the middle. So I'll just do that. I'm just going to trim that a little bit. So we put the pleat inside, just on top of the foil, just to allow for expansion inside, because when the air gets in there, the heat rises and it'll cause it to expand. So it's just to allow that foil to expand, and just push it down tightly all around your pudding. So it's all ready for the steamer now, so make sure that your water is just simmering in the pan underneath. You know, it's a constant simmer, so you have that nice gentle steam. So pop your pudding into your steamer, and it wants about an hour. Now, I seem to remember when I've made this before it took a bit longer. So when we come back, I'll tell you exactly how long mine took. But use about an hour as a judge, and you can always have a little peek, stick your skewer in. If it doesn't come out clean, put it on for another 10 minutes. So I'll let you know when we come back exactly just how long mine took. So there we go, our pudding is all steaming away. So I will see you back in part 2 when we're going to have a little taste and see what it's like. So I'll see you back soon.
Now that is what I call a good old-fashioned English pudding.
It's
I would
robust.
strongly encourage you to go and get the ingredients and get cooking.
Yeah.
That is a taste of history, and history is what we're all about.
It is.
The ingredients are listed below. Now, unfortunately, on the YouTube show notes, YouTube only gives you a certain amount of space, and there's just not enough space to list the ingredients there. So if you follow the link, that'll take you to a page which has all the ingredients on.
Right.
And you can print that page then if you like, and then you'll have the ingredients. Lovely.
It's not difficult to make at all.
It really isn't, and it is just the first time before all my issues.
It feels very indulgent. It's that kind of pudding, but brilliant for a family gathering, I think.
The golden syrup one is an everyday.
Yes.
Get it on.
I agree.
Get cooking.
Yeah.
Eat it. Everything's lovely. This is an occasion pudding. This is one where you feel it afterwards.
Well, you know, you just don't have a massive piece, do you?
But it depends, actually, because in the old days, I ate virtually all of it.
You did.
In one go.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had a problem.
And I didn't really feel it afterwards.
No.
It's a bloke's pudding.
I think it just depends on your constitution.
Yes, and now mine managed to eat half of it, and then I couldn't manage any more.
But it's absolutely delicious.
We're going on a journey in this pudding club. You know, we're taking you through some of the most sort of iconic puddings in English history. And for you to fully appreciate the golden syrup, you have to have the spotted dick. Yes.
It's lovely, and a lot of people cook it in a different way as well. A lot of people sort of wrap it in like a muslin cloth and then steam it. So there's lots of kind of variations, but I think this one's a simpler way.
I found a recipe where it was wrapped in silver foil.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
a bit like jam roly-poly.
It'll be time to try the pudding later on in the show, of course. So it's time for us now, whilst that pudding's cooking, to find out, Kay Jones, what's of your needles?
What's of my needles?
Yes.
I finished a pair of socks.
Wow.
This is the I always want to say Askaban for some reason. Askaban mini skein set socks that I'd knit for Bryony, and I finished these actually quite soon after the last podcast, and again she's had to wait. So yeah, loved them, absolutely love knitting them, and yes, there were a lot of ends. So the 5 colours that are in kind of the body of the sock, these were the 5 colours that were in the mini skein set, and then I dyed up a Molly Weasley colour as a separate sort of heel and toe. So there was, looking at this one, we've got the Night Bus, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, the Marauders map, and Patronus. And I love them. And the leftovers, I'm currently knitting into my second bits and bobs.
Cool.
Which is brilliant. So I'll use every little scrap. And it's on a sparkle base that I knit those. So Brian, you can have those now.
Cool.
Yep.
That's your first one.
Yes.
Excellent. Here's my first and only one. It's the split back Snowflake hat. So it's my first ever attempt at colourwork. And whilst it's far from perfect, it's a damn sight better than it could have been. You know, you can see the pattern all the way around. And for a first attempt at colourwork, I'm sorry, but I'm perfectly proud of that.
Why are you saying you're sorry?
I'm just preparing myself. Now, personally, I would have preferred it, and this hat would have probably worked for Kay had the decreases not been so
They're quite sharp.
The decreases on this hat, I mean, I was actually pretty stunned at how
They're
sharp
very
they
rapid.
were.
They're very rapid decreases.
So because of that, and because my tension just is not right yet, it's just too robust a fabric still. I'm not loose enough.
It's not loose enough, it's too tight.
It means it just doesn't fit Kay.
No.
And were it a bit longer, it probably would have flopped and it might have worked.
Yeah, I think the problem with it is, this bit is brilliant, you know, but then the bit that actually sits around your head, it's very tight here, which means then you've got the decreases which just sort of stick up here. So yeah, I mean, the issue I was having was on the catching of floats. I can catch them, but the process of catching them seems to tighten it up. Yeah.
So I've realised the problem, and I can do it looser. I absolutely can. I know exactly what I need to do it looser. So learnt a load.
But my pattern doesn't call for you to catch your floats. So
no.
And I said you can if you want to, just to try, but I didn't catch my floats. The longest stretch is 5 stitches.
Well, I probably will to just to practice.
I mean, on that little stretch that's 5 stitches, if you want to catch your floats, you can, obviously, as practice, but I didn't, and it's okay.
The pattern is brilliant, but unfortunately, it just doesn't fit anybody here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Nana Wendy to measure her head.
Oh yeah.
And if it's small enough,
if it's smaller than mine, I think she's got quite a small head.
I do too. So if it's small enough, then we will make a pom-pom and do the end bits, and it'll be a Christmas present.
Yeah.
But if it isn't, then it might just be
chalked up to experience.
Well, I had to do something. It's too sharp.
They are very rapid decreases, and you know.
Just looking at it now,
I think
it's like a flat top.
Yeah, and I think if the rest, like the one that I knit for Bryony, the difference with that one was I knit it in a superwash yarn, and this is non-superwash, so it doesn't have that stretch, which is what we were talking about before. And the one for Bryony has got, it means that it slouches okay, whereas this, because it's non-superwash, it just kind of stands.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No. So I think really the thing to do with colourwork, and I don't think you change needle size, and Susan did recommend that we change needle sizes, I think, and go up a size for colourwork.
Yeah.
We didn't do that, and that's maybe
I think I was on the bigger needle already.
I think you were just using the bigger needle all the way through, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was on the size which you recommended for that.
I think you were. But in hindsight, to be honest, I don't know, whether it would have made that much of a difference. But in any case, you've had the experience. Likely it will fit somebody.
Yeah.
And, when we've discovered who that person might be, we can, I can finish it off then.
Yeah.
But I did give it a really long soak because I forgot about it in the sink.
Yes.
And we actually went out, did some shopping, came back, and then I'm like, there's a hat in the sink. So it had actually soaked for about 2 hours, I think. Didn't seem to mind it.
I thoroughly enjoyed knitting it. And there was not one stage of it where I was remotely not engaged or enjoying what I was doing. So, super clear pattern.
It's a win,
really,
isn't it?
Really enjoyable process. Just a shame it doesn't fit anyone here. But we'll find somebody.
Yes! I have got another finished object, and it's this. And it's a new design, actually.
It is genuinely gorgeous.
It's lovely. Shall I take it off? I mean, you've been looking at it the whole episode, haven't you? So I'll take it off to show you. I don't even know what you call these. Do you know where it's a little sort of bandana type affair? I don't even know what they're called really. But basically, you start off knitting it like a shawl, but then you join it in the round and then work the rest of it in the round. So it's knit, do you know, like Zuzu's Petals, and there's some other patterns as well. The worsted weight one I knit recently, I can't remember the name of it now. But it's just one of these things that you stick over your head and looks like you're wearing a little shawl. And I love these. I wear these all the time, and I've been wanting to design something, you know, in this kind of style for ages. And then I bought some of this yarn. This is Brooklyn Tweed Loft. And it seemed perfect. I thought, right, okay, I'll use that. And I'll use two colours. The purple is Thistle, and then this kind of neutrally is Postcard. So you've got a section of garter, then you've got a section of stripes, and then you've got this kind of pretty textured pattern. And then you finish off with a bit more garter. I'm going to knit another version. I've ordered some yarn, which should arrive tomorrow, I think. So I'm going to knit a second version in a different yarn and just make a couple of tweaks as well. There was a couple of things I just wanted to change. And then I'll be putting it into test knitting. It's really quick. I didn't weigh this yet, actually. Brooklyn Tweed Loft weighs nothing in any case. It feels like it weighs nothing. Yeah. Brilliant for gift knitting, I think.
What's it called?
Oh, right, because it's got a mildly sort of bee theme. So I wanted it to have a kind of bee name, and there's loads of patterns out there with bee associated names. But what I did was I looked up the Latin name for a bumblebee, and that led me to the tribe name, which I suppose is like the family name, I don't know. And that was Bombini, and I just thought that was so cute. So this will be the Bombini. So I'll put up a pattern page on Ravelry, you know, just a pending pattern page whilst it's all going through.
So I shall link it below it.
Yeah, but this is the Bombini, and I'm thrilled with it actually.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it on that whole time, and it's the kind of thing, I love these because they're so simple. Ha ha ha. So simple to wear, and just stick it over your head, and it keeps me, you know, as long as my neck is warm, I kind of feel warm all over. So I wear this kind of style all the time. So I'm really pleased with it actually, and I'm looking forward to knitting up a second version in different colours.
Are you?
I am, yeah.
Cool. Well, that's good.
Normally I'm like, oh, you know, I've knit that thing, do I want to knit it again? But actually this was so quick. And, you know, I like the fact that it's two colours, you can play around with your colour choices. And the colours that I've ordered are more reflective of the kind of bee theme. So that'll be really nice to try. And I've been doing a review of the Brooklyn Tweed Loft, so I've just got one more to film now, which will be the final, what do I think, once I finish the item, washed it, blocked it and everything. But it's produced a lovely, lovely finished item, I think.
Yeah.
Really nice. So yeah, that's Bombini.
It looks real quality, I've got to say.
The yarn.
It looks like a quality piece of kit.
A quality piece of kit?
Yeah.
Right.
Look, I'm a bloke. That's how blokes talk.
Has anybody ever referred to something you've knit as a quality piece of kit?
Well, I'm certain.
You're all jealous now, aren't you?
That's what a husband would say. That looks like a quality piece of kit.
Yeah.
You can see its quality.
Right. Well, that's kind. Thank you.
Well, the yarn looks...
It does.
High quality.
It does.
Which I suppose it should, because it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap.
No.
It isn't cheap, and that's why I wanted to put in another option for yarn in the pattern. Because I don't want people thinking they've got to use that particular yarn, you know. So the alternative I've ordered is a more commercial type yarn that looks really pretty, so...
Cool.
Next podcast, I should have that one done, and I'll let you know the progress of the pattern.
Good for you.
Yes.
I want my pudding. Let's go back and let's get it out of the steamer and let's decide what we're going to put with it. Custard, of course, and let's try a bit.
Now, here's the question. We've established what a pudding is, but where did it come from? Well, steamed pudding, bread pudding and rice pudding appeared for the first time in print in 1615 within Gervase Markham's impressively titled The English Huswife, containing the inward and outward virtues which ought to be in a complete woman. It was, though, the Victorians who were to take pudding eating to a whole new level. The Victorian era was a time of boom and bust, of irresponsible bankers and businessmen. In those times of uncertainty, what people wanted from their food was comfort, and that's what puddings are, solid, comforting food. But it's the use of puddings in classic literature from that era that reflects how ingrained the eating of pudding had become in English households. In A Christmas Carol, Mrs. Cratchit's plum pudding was declared by her husband to be the greatest success achieved by her since they married. And particularly apt for today's recipe was the cake in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which was marked in currants with "Eat Me." So what would you have to go with your spotted dick? Well, I'm making custard, traditional custard, as we made for the golden syrup sponge pudding that we made last time. And if you want to look at the recipe for this, then the link is in the show notes. But if you didn't want to have custard, you could just have normal double pouring cream. That would be completely lovely. You could whip some cream, and that would make a lovely light cream. It's still cream, but it's much lighter, isn't it, when you whip it? I don't think you would have anything like sort of brandy sauce or anything like that. So I would probably just go with custard or cream, whatever your preference is. Okay, pudding's done. It did take a little bit longer. Mine took about an hour and 15. And after about an hour I just peeked under the foil, excuse my marigolds, peeked under the foil and I stuck a skewer in it, and it was still a little bit sticky at the bottom, so I just gave it another 10 minutes, had another look, and now it looks fine. So I'm just going to take it out, turn it up onto a plate. So we're just going to cut a nice slice. This will serve quite a lot of people because it, like I said, it is rich. You don't need a huge amount. And it will reheat. What happens is when it goes cold, let me just take a slice out and then we can look at it. Ooh, lovely. When it goes cold, what happens is the fats in it will re-solidify, so it will go hard. But you can just pop it in the fridge once it's cooled and then bring it out, cut a slice and just reheat it in the microwave, and it works perfectly well. We've done that lots of times. So I'm going to put on a little bit of custard. Lovely. Okay, so we're ready to try it now, and it's been a couple of years, I think, since I've had this, so super yummy. As you can see, I've just got some custard with it, so here we go. Oh, it's lovely. It's very lemony, and those currants are so nice. It isn't as light of a pudding as the syrup sponge. It is a heavier pudding, but that's not to its detriment, it's just a different characteristic. So I would encourage you all to have a go. It's definitely more of an occasion pudding, I think. So if you've got your family coming around for a Sunday lunch or, any other kind of family occasion, it's brilliant to make because it feeds a lot. Like I said, you can reheat it again afterwards if there's any leftovers. And it just tastes brilliant. It's kind of a flavour that it feels really old-fashioned and really traditional. and it's super lovely. So there we go, that's our spotted dick. And I look forward to seeing you all back next month, or when we'll be making another very yummy pudding.
Delicious! Yes! It's lemony and curranty, and oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
It is lovely.
And I was talking to Nana Wendy, and she used to have it when she was at school.
Really?
Yes. But she said, do not put sultanas into a spotted dick.
Oh, why?
Because sultanas tend to soak things up, don't
Oh,
they? Currants
right.
don't, do they?
No, because currants are harder.
Yeah, a sultana soaks things up.
Right, so it makes it drier.
Well, no, you've obviously got suet in it.
Ah, right.
And you don't really want sultanas soaked
Soaking
with...
up the suet.
No, because that's not going to taste very
right,
nice, is it?
okay.
So you must
Good
use...
tip.
Yeah, really is a
Use
good tip.
currants.
You must use currants. You've got to try this. You have to. And I'd love to know what you think. There's
I
going to
would
be
love
some
to know
people...
what you think. Yeah.
There's going to be some people you're going to love it, and some people you're not going to love it. But like we said after part one, it's a journey which I think you have to go down. If you're enjoying this whole
Yeah.
pudding thing, you know, it's like, you know, last episode we took you to Clifford's Tower, didn't we? And Clifford's Tower was the first of the castles. If you're talking about what is the first of the puddings, this is about as close to it as you'll get.
It's really delicious. It is really delicious, and you know, just comforting. It's
Yes.
hugely comforting, isn't it?
And the Pudding Club will, of course, be back.
Oh, we have got the most exciting pudding ever.
We do. Not next episode, but the episode after. We will be
can't
making
wait.
Winifred pudding. And it's going to be delicious.
Yes,
Because
I
it
need
takes just about everything that
I
I
need to
love.
trial it.
Yeah, okay, fine. Oh, well, I don't know about
I
that.
can't just make it
Yes.
from. Yeah, I've
No,
got
no.
to try it because it's a new recipe to me. But
Yes.
it looks fantastic
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Very, very old.
and very, very different to the two puddings we've already done. It's not a steamed pudding.
Winifred pudding actually was something that the National Trust about 4 or 5 years ago, they wanted to find something really old, proper traditional English pudding recipe that no one had made in a long time. So they started going through their properties and looking in the archives, and they found this recipe. No one had made it in years.
It looks great.
And they reintroduced it into their restaurants. I think it was about 2014, 2013. And now, of course, you know, it's now out there and available again, and people are making it. So Winifred pudding, not next episode, but the episode after.
Can't wait.
It's time for us to have a very quick and rather impromptu what's on your bookshelf? Shush.
Oh gosh, really?
Yes.
Right.
Now, I have 2 quick things to share, so I'll go first, and then you can
Right.
go, and then I'll go. We wanted to do this because we wanted to thank you all so much for all of your engagement the last time we did this, a few episodes ago. Kay was, you know, looking for something to read, and I was just starting to go down a journey into sort of beach fiction, is what I'll call it.
Beach fiction.
Do you know what I mean? The type of
would
stuff.
it be called chick lit? No, it's not quite chick lit, is it?
I hope not.
No.
Otherwise, I've got.
Rob, I meant to tell you, I was watching Robin the other
Yes,
day.
yes.
She's read that one.
Oh wow!
She read it.
Did she talk about it at all?
Yeah, she said she really enjoyed it.
Right.
And she would recommend it.
So Robin read it.
Robin read it.
Well, that for me is the
Yeah,
ultimate.
yeah.
Someone who, you know, has learnt ancient Greek
I know.
is choosing to read this book. You know, I don't feel quite so bad
Yeah,
now.
and Robin, if you don't know who we're talking about, Robin is lovely Robin from Stitching Between Pages podcast. And she put out a new podcast recently. She hasn't for a while because she's been so busy with her studies. And it was a joy, an absolute joy to
Ladies
watch.
and gentlemen, for those of you wondering if Robin may make another appearance in the new adventures of the Bakery Bears, wonder no more.
Yes,
Later in the season, she will be back.
she will be back.
Yes, she appeared in season 1 when we went to visit Finkel Priory.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she'll be reappearing
Yeah.
in season
She
2.
will, how exciting. We
I'm-
love Robin.
Yes, yes. So, it's time for us, or it's time for me, to talk about one of the 2 books which I wanted to just share with you. So the first one is, I'll talk about that one that Robin's read, and it is... It's Eleanor Oliphant, isn't it? And I can't
Yeah.
remember the full title now. It's by Gail Honeyman.
Totally okay, or something
Totally
like
fine.
that. Totally fine.
Eleanor Oliphant is totally fine. Something like that. Now, it was actually my lovely daughter who sort of half ridiculed me for not reading anything that sort of remotely fun. Everything I read tends to be quite serious. So I thought, right, okay then. I'm going to go and I'm going to get the 2017 bestseller list and I'm going to find something in the top 10 and I'm going to pick one and I'm going to read it. And that was the book that I picked. And it flew off the page, even though I was reading it on a Kindle. I finished it in and it's so interesting.
Very quick read, wasn't it?
When you consider the things I normally read normally take me a little while to read because they're quite intense and I want to take every word in. This it just flew. And it was a perfectly lovely story. For me, I could see the twist coming a mile off.
Right.
But someone else might not see that twist coming a mile off. But it's just a lovely story about, a young woman who has had a really tough upbringing, who, through the course of some experiences, changes from being rather odd to being rather lovely. And there were so many things. She has a lot of anxiety issues and, she does an awful lot of things which I could really associate with. So I would recommend it actually to anybody because I'm a bloke and I read it and I enjoyed it. But I'm sure you would enjoy it. So if you're looking for a nice, easy read, a book that was a bestseller last year, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman is a really, really, really good book.
Brilliant.
What about you?
I finished a book, can you believe it? I finished a book, and it's the book called Caroline. Have I spoken about this before?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so the book I spoke about before, called Caroline, I finished it. And it's basically, it's an amalgamation of Little House in the Big Woods and Little House on the Prairie, written from the perspective of the mum, from Caroline's perspective. And I did really enjoy it. And I could associate it with the two books, because there was the events that happened, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that in that book, I remember that one in that book. But there was something at the end, and I wish I'd read it at the beginning, and I wish the author had put this information at the beginning of the book. Because once I read it, it made sense. The book made sense to me. And that is the fact that when Laura wrote the books, they weren't written in the order that they actually happened in reality. I didn't know this. But what I'm meaning by that is Little House in the Big Woods was the first book. However, Little House on the Prairie, which was the second book, had already happened.
So they changed the order
in her life.
Yeah.
Because what happened was they moved to Kansas when Laura was just 2. Stayed in Kansas for a year and then moved back to Wisconsin to the Little House in the Big Woods. So when Little House in the Big Woods was written, Little House on the Prairie had already happened. You understand what I'm saying? The reason that the author explains that was done that way is that her publisher said that people wouldn't believe that she remembered things that happened when she was 2, which is a fair point, really. So that's why they wrote it that way around. But then that fully explained, it made a lot of it made sense. It is crazy, and that just it did really change how I felt about the whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. So when I've been reading that book before, they've already been to Kansas and come back again because it didn't work out. I did really enjoy it. It doesn't make Charles, that's the dad, it doesn't make Charles out to be a very nice, he was perfectly nice and everything, but it's these decisions he was making for the family, like, I'm going to move you to Kansas because I think life is going to be better there. The decisions he were making to me just seemed crazy, I'm going to drag my family halfway across the country when my wife is pregnant, and I was like, I don't know what I feel about that. And so it was a very interesting read. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
But I wish she'd put that information at the beginning.
So I finished reading the Gail Honeyman book, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to adopt the same approach with the next book that I pick. So I thought, right, okay, I'll look on the 2018, the top sellers, and the one I found is called Friend Request. And it's like a psychological thriller. It was likened to The Girl on the Train, which you started watching the film. She didn't like very much, but the book sold very well. Probably similar to the Gone Girl type thing. Psychological thriller. It's all about someone who, I thought it's particularly appropriate at the moment when you consider what's going on with Facebook. Someone gets a friend request from someone who they thought was dead. and they're like, whoa, hold on. And
That's creepy,
it's really quite creepy. It's well written and it's interesting, and she was young, she's about our age, so she's talking about her school life a lot. It keeps going back in time and talking about mid-80s being at school.
Oh,
and
so you could relate to it.
So I could really relate to that, and there's a lot of male characters in there too. Granted, it's a lady who's is the main protagonist in the story. So yeah, I would say it's a book very similar to the Gail Honeyman one. It's another it's the typical book that you would read on a beach on a holiday, and so far it's absolutely fine. There's no dodgy language. There's no. Both books have got no naughty scenes in it. None of that business. It's all just good quality storytelling. So that is a really good book called Friend Request. So thank you all so much for all of your recommendations and for sort of helping us, helping Kate particularly, find something.
And I'm actually reading, me and Bryony have got a little book club going, haven't we? And we're reading all of the Harry Potter books from the beginning, and there's a few of the books where we've got 2 copies, so we're both reading the books at the same time, and then we're having a little book club meeting every week, and we're making notes about what we want to talk about. So it's been really fun, and I'm really enjoying it actually, because it's a long time since I've only read the first 2 books.
And so, I had never read the Harry Potter books, and I'm currently reading the Harry Potter books to Bryony at bedtime, and they are like so much better than the films. Yeah. I can see why people were so passionate about it, because the books are so much better than the films.
I mean, she's the queen of detail, I think, isn't she, J.K. Rowling? And there's so much detail in the books.
Yeah.
And
they're just great.
Bits of information that bring the story more to life, I think. So, yeah.
It's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
And the first thing which we need to say is, of course, congratulations again to the winners of the Spring Into Wool tickets.
Yes, you should both have your tickets now.
Yes. And Spring Into Wool is actually coming up this weekend. So we will be there this weekend having a lovely time.
We will be there on Sunday morning, primarily. So if you see us, do come and say hello. I know a couple of people have said, I don't know if I'll be confident enough. Believe me, I will be more nervous than anybody that comes up and says hello.
We spoke last episode a lot about social media and about different things, and a couple of people I think perceived it as we were saying that we were solitary private knitters.
Yeah, that's not what we were saying at all.
We are primarily shy people. Yeah. But when it comes to knitters, do not feel concerned about coming up and saying hello.
No.
Because that would be lovely.
Please do.
It's always good to meet like-minded people. And that is a rare commodity when it comes to knitting.
And I just thought it would be fun if anybody does want to come and say hello. I've dyed up a little bunch of Molly Weasley minis. So I'll have these with me, and if you want to say hello, I will hand over a little mini skein to you.
But there's a limited number, yeah. So if we get mobbed, we might run out.
I don't know, there's about 12, I suppose, but I was just judging it on how many people said hello last year, and it wasn't that many, was it?
No.
So I just thought, if you feel like saying hello, we'll be there Sunday morning, then please do, and I will give you a little mini until they run out.
We'll also be doing a little bit of filming as well, and I'll be looking for someone who is attending the show to just do a very short interview with. So if you feel like being that person, do feel free to come up and introduce yourself. Yeah. So that's Spring Into Wool. Climb Every Mountain update. So far this year, as of the end of March, Team Cool has covered 4,924.25 feet.
Wow.
That is an excellent effort.
Almost 5,000 feet.
Yes. Wow. And where are we in total? We are at 21,924 feet because, of course, when you're climbing Everest, you start at 17,000 feet.
Yeah.
And if you know Everest, we are...
I wonder if anybody does. I wonder if anybody out there knows somebody who's climbed Everest.
Or maybe you have. We are approaching the Rongbuk Glacier.
Gosh.
Cool. But where is Team Fines?
Where are we?
Team Fines, so far this year, have climbed 7,872 feet.
Come on!
Yes. And you have covered in total 24,872.
Wow.
And you've just passed the North Ridge.
Ooh.
Now,
Was it tricky?
The North Ridge is really famous.
Right.
There's been quite a few people who've not made it past.
But we've
the
all
North
made
Ridge.
it.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, we didn't have any.
No fatalities.
No.
So, really brilliant effort, but you've got to keep going because there's not actually that far to go. I mean, it's only, I think it's 29.
Oh yeah, 29,000 feet is the total, yeah.
So this month you may well get to the top and you may start climbing.
That would be amazing.
Where are we climbing next? Everest, Kilimanjaro?
Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
Is K2 the same thing
Yes.
as Kilimanjaro?
Yes.
Right, okay.
K2. Next, it is Kilimanjaro, and you will be, at the rate you're going,
so we don't
just past,
don't have to come back down again, do we?
No.
We're just going to reach the top, move on to the next mountain.
We're airlifting you from the top.
Yeah.
We're going to send up some special helicopters.
Our own little world.
And we're going to airlift you.
We can do that.
To base camp of Kilimanjaro, and then off you go.
We've got the knit-along going on for the Drippity Drop socks, and we've got quite a few finished objects already.
Cool.
Which is brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. The feedback I've had from everyone really has been just fantastic, and you've all really enjoyed knitting them. So this is my original pair of Drippity Drop, which I still haven't worn because I just want to keep them nice. I'm strange like that. So this is the original pair, knit in Wool and Vine yarns in the fairy hair colourway, and it's on Kristen's cashmere base. So that was the original pair. So keep knitting your socks. You've still got till the end of this month, so loads of time to finish them if you're working on them at the moment. And I've got the prizes to show you. I just thought that'd be a nice thing just to show. So I've got 3 prizes for this knit along. The first one is, we've already used this yarn as one prize, but I had another skein of it. I ordered a few skeins for prizes, and it's the Mondim sock yarn, the Portuguese sock yarn, which is non-superwash sock yarn, and it's this fantastic bright pink, and it is that pink. I just think this would make the most wonderful cabled socks, or, you know, textured or lace socks. Anything that's got something going on, I think would look fantastic in that. So that's one prize. I've then got a skein of my own yarn. This is my current favourite colourway, and so I thought I would very generously part with a skein. And it's Sirius, it's the Sirius Black colourway. I just love how this came out. It's a speckled yarn, and it's speckles of black, and then a purple, and then like a kind of greeny sort of shade as well. I just love it. I absolutely love how this one came out. So there'll be a skein of Sirius. And then the last prize has come from lovely Melissa. She's Meliabella on Instagram. I'm sure a lot of you know who she is. And she's got an Etsy shop, and that is meliabella.etsy.com. And she makes these fantastic stitch markers and progress keepers. And this is actually a set for me. She very kindly sent these, and I said, oh, that's brilliant, I'll use them as a prize. And she says, no, they're for you. I'll send another prize to the winner. So that's lovely, that's really kind of her. So I got this lovely little set of stitch markers and progress keepers. There's one that's the Deathly Hallows there, and I was going to use it straight away, but I've kept it because I wanted to show you first. And she put on a little pink crystal for me as well, because she knows I like pink. So thank you so much, Melissa. So that'll be another prize. So go take a look at her shop. They're absolutely beautiful.
And how long is this running for?
Till the end of April.
Cool.
Are we in April now?
Yes.
Oh, we are.
And also, that links beautifully to next week is the next issue of Knitability magazine, and Melissa is in there.
Fantastic.
We have an interview with Melissa. Melissa, of course, who used to have the His and Hers podcast, which was
she does still vlog sometimes.
I know she does. I know she does. She, of course, had the His and Hers podcast, and if you were to go back to episode 1 of the Bakery Bears podcast, and you were to see us talk about the podcasts who inspired us prior to beginning the Bakery Bears, Melissa was one of them with her lovely husband, Sean, and they used to do, say, the His and Hers. Yeah. So it was a real thrill for us to interview her in the next issue of Knitability. And also in that issue of Knitability, which is out next Friday, there's Madeline Windsor, who is just a delight.
She's lovely.
She is. And also, there is a wonderful article from Jamie Ganji. You know her because she sings our Play Out song. And she wrote the words to our Play Out song.
She did.
And she's written the most wonderful article all about knitting and being on the stage.
I get asked on a regular basis if it's me singing at the end of the podcast.
And so we thought it's time that you met properly who
I'm
it is.
completely flattered by that, but I always say no, it's not me. Thank you so much. It's
Jamie.
lovely, Jamie.
So you will meet her properly in the next issue of Knitability. What else do you have?
Nothing.
Wow, that's impressive.
No.
So, episode
lot.
98 will be with you in 2 weeks when we will be discovering the story of the Lake District as we uncover the forgotten house of Lowther.
Lowther.
It is the most... It literally...
It looks amazing.
Well, it literally was forgotten because I've lived in the north of England my whole life and I never knew it was there.
I've never heard of it.
And, it's not that far from us at all, really. And it has the most interesting story attached to it. But the focus of the story will actually be more around the Lake District and a certain lady who used to live there. By the name of Beatrix Potter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it. Lots going on the next 2 weeks. As I said, Knitability is out next week, and we've got the tutorial with you and me where I'm trying to nail that hat, and so far it looks like I am. After what Kay said today.
Beautiful.
Kay's got some they're Knit Along with Kay specials actually, where you're blocking things and swatching and doing all sorts.
Swatching, that was very interesting.
There's all sorts going on. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks,
and we'll
everybody.
See you in 2 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Sitting and knitting, it's Dan and Kay, the bakery players. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery players. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in